Hello, Eden.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi. I'm really happy that you're here.
Me
I've been
too.
looking forward for this conversation for quite a long time. I want to start. How would you like to introduce yourself? What drives you in life and what's your passion? Let's start with this.
Thank you for having me. Connection. I would say that's what is my passion and what's drive me in life. Because connection as a whole, it means that the connection to myself, to my body, to nature, to people around me. And that's what drove me, I think, into this path of yoga, is the union between the universal soul and consciousness. And that's something when I discovered just that glimpse of this world, I thought like, okay, this is something I can keep learning for the rest of my life. So there's no end to it. And it gave me some reassurance, and it gave me sense of ease and sense of belonging, which is another, I guess it's something I feel like it's our essence as humans, whether we're aware of that or not, but we're all seeking to belong. And the greatest joys and the greatest minds on this earth, and the most misfortunate event as well, I think, occurring for the reason of belonging or feeling of not belonging. But I really think it's like the bottom and the base of our entire essence as humans. And also, I would say I'm a younger yoga teacher, introductory one, and I'm a somatic therapist and a practitioner.
Would you like to share a bit about what is it for those that doesn't know?
Yeah. So as a teenager, I started practicing yoga because to ease my mental health, which I was described with depression and anxiety, and nowadays every other person are perceived or described as anxious or suffering from anxiety and depression. And so was I. Back then I think it wasn't as trendy, but
Yeah.
still. So I came across to yoga as a way to first of all connect to my body and to be able to breathe. I also was suffering from serious asthma, and also I was surfing. I just started surfing at the time, and it was one of my like biggest things that I wanted to be a surfer, but I physically couldn't because I couldn't breathe and I couldn't paddle out. So it made it impossible. So that's how I got into yoga. By my dear mom just knew that this was the path for me. I don't know how she knew, but she did.
Wow.
And yeah, and so that's the physical aspect draw me in. And then I discover that it's going to be, a lifetime journey. So I started practicing back then when I was around 16. So I practiced more dynamic yoga, vinyasa, and ashtanga, not full series or not really devoted as the full series, but I started practicing more hatha, classical yoga, different kind of methods, but I would say in general that are a little bit more fluid and dynamic. And then I reached an Iyengar yoga class. The first time I got to the class, I was like, I'm never coming back here again.
Really? Why?
Because it was so rigid and it was
Yeah.
so I was like, what's going on? Why is everybody so serious? This is not for me.
Yeah.
I want to escape. But
I
then
came from ballet, so I loved it. Yeah.
yeah, and that explains.
Yeah.
But so I and then I got into another younger class with another teacher, and she said something to me that class that stuck with me. And I really, it was a moment of like an epiphany, but I really I knew that she was there to tell me that, for me to actually like listen and not to be offended by the way she said it, because it was a bit of aggressive. And sometimes there's a way of a lot of people know it in the Iyengar tradition that the teachers could be a little bit more assertive, and I don't want to say harsh, but sometimes it can come across as harsh.
Yeah.
And so she said, "You have," and I'll try to translate it. It's like a free translation. It's you're over flexible in your body, you're over flexible in your mind. Everything takes like events or life outside of you take you wherever they want, but you don't have the the center to actually,
The stability, I guess.
yeah, I guess the stability. Yeah, you don't have that stability or that, yeah, sense of ground. She said it and it was true. And I knew it was true in that moment, and it really hit home. And
Which I feel nowadays, especially with Instagram and all that, the concept of yoga might be like you need to be super flexible, you need to travel all over the world, you need to be very open-minded. Like I guess, not true, I don't want to say true, but the meaning, like the core meaning of that is actually about stability, being connected to that.
yeah, it's in a way, it's exactly the opposite of
Yeah.
even, of myself. I can say that, since forever, I wanted also always to travel the world, and I did, and I still am. But it was something that I received a lot of criticism from my teacher. It was like, yeah, you need more structure, you need more stability, you need to find that, in Ayurveda, is like the kapha, the ground, the elements of earth. And it's something I think that is very fundamental in Iyengar yoga. So that.
Can I just stop you here? Because it really brings us to one of the main questions I have for you. So, because the topic of our conversation today is retreats, as you're one of the pioneers in this field, from what I know at least, like the way we know retreat nowadays, let's say.
Yeah.
You're doing it for many, many years, and you're having lots of experience with lots of people in different places around the world. And I think you're doing an amazing work. So that's really nice to see. I do want to ask, because it can be quite of not clear, when is it the right time for one to go out, let's say, for a retreat? And where is the time to stay in his daily practice in his home? And how do you know when it's time to go for a retreat? And how do you see this kind of...
It's a very interesting question, because like my first instinct was to tell you there's no right time, but at the same time, saying that, just reflecting over so many experiences I had with so many different people, and I'm not gonna, name them good or bad, but just how I witnessed their experience and how they shared with me. Some weren't ready, but it still was the perfect time for them. You know what I mean? They were
I know.
ready for the experience. They were like, that was too much for them. And that brings us again to the nature of the mind, because it's such a, when you're walking this path, the spiritual path, whether it's you're practicing yoga or you're just practicing meditation, it's pretty much about learning to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And sometimes retreats could be uncomfortable. Some things could show up for you that you might not like, and you might feel that, no, I want to escape. And this is like the nature of our mind. 99% of the time we want to escape from non-pleasure sensations to pleasure sensations. This is like pretty much the foundation that we're all here. That's why we're all here, right? So I'm just saying that because it is something to take into consideration. I think if you feel the call from within, it probably is the time, because even if it's not gonna be, how are you gonna label it later? Oh, this retreat was amazing, this retreat wasn't good, it's still stories that we tell ourselves, and some of them might be true. What is true or not, it is also relative. But the main thing is that, I guess, you have to come back to your why always. Why are you going to a retreat? Is it just because it's trendy now and popular and everybody's like posting about it and you want to post as well? Maybe that's not that's not the right why, if I can say. Maybe there's a question there,
but maybe it will bring you something good also. Maybe you came from this place.
Even if that's why you want to post it, you need it. So that's what I mean. Like, we think we know so many times, and it's like bring us back to like, do we really choose the thing, or these things choose us? So for me it's like, it's fascinating, because we can go on and on about it. It's like, it's so like an existential question, I can say.
It is, I
think it's always, if someone can go for a retreat, I think it's a huge privilege. If you can't go, you should go. Like, I mean, then again, practice, whether it's really depends if it's a yoga
Like,
retreat.
how can you know which one, like
That's I think it also depends on the teachers and how they're deciding to like say a lot of again coming back, if I'm coming back to Iyengar yoga. In Iyengar yoga, they are very specific and they tell you, for example, if you don't have an experience of 1 year, it's not for you. And I think it's great, if that they are labeling. And some retreats that I do, really invite everyone to come as well with no experience. And so many people that came to my retreats with no experience, they still gain so much, even if they did so little. And that's also something that we try to, measure our accomplishments or our whatever it is by what we keep with always the doing part. But it's less about the doing and it's more about the being. It's something there that sparked a part of them that was asleep before. And it could be the most simple thing, like drinking water in the morning when you wake up, or taking 10 minutes to breathe and stay away from the phone. It's in being in the sunlight, whatever it is. It could be something that
basically to be inspired, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's also lead me to the next question. So from your side as a teacher in a retreat, how do you see the meaning when it might be the first time you see the practitioner and might be also the last time? How we can really gain the full experience and really embodied it? Maybe you have some tips to share?
Yeah, so you said it could be the first time I see and it could be the last time.
Yes. And how do you make it not kind of shallow, let's say, and a deep experience?
Yeah, that's also something I think I resonate with a lot, because it happened to me many times that the first and last time I see someone, because of my lifestyle, because I'm not gonna say unfortunately, because it's unfortunately for me, I'm not a teacher who has her studio or teaches in other studios and is there all the time. That is not for me. And I do mainly like my one-on-ones, and I do workshops and I do retreats, because I really love the one-on-one setting, and that is the right fit for me. So I'm not one of these teachers who see people on a regular basis all the time and build, a process with the group, let's say, on a group dynamic. So when I see people for the first time and the last time, and as what I would say, there's like a box of tools that every single person should have for the practice, whether it's like the practice of asanas or just well-being, very simple, basic, but still profound. And I try as a teacher, I to look at the person as a whole, and I can really see what they need more emphasis on. But still, coming back to these tools, it's like a little box that you open and okay, like based on my condition now, today, what do I need? Or just let's say on a regular basis, like how do I maintain the energy that flows through my body, so I'm still like open to receive this life and this energy of life that we need to sustain on a daily basis, which means that it also could look like what do I need to do for my lower back? What do I need to do to keep my knees healthy? What do I need to do to keep my shoulder and neck, because we're under gravity on a daily basis? How do I maintain all of that and I still leave room for the somatic experience, which means like what feels good and right for my body now, without any instructions from the outside? Just how do I tune in and really feel what do I need? What is my body telling me? Because if we listen, we can hear our body. We can really get to know ourselves in that way. That little box, by the way, I referred to, it's like something that I had a project in Costa Rica, in a school in Costa Rica, that I wish I could install it to all schools in all over the world.
I think I remember you posted it a few years ago.
Yeah, years ago.
Yeah.
I literally think every person should have it from childhood, Because learn, think how little did we really knew our bodies. Some of it, if we were fortunate, we did through, like, I don't know if your mother was a yoga teacher or you were dancing, but still, it's not, there wasn't that access to that. I think today is much better, I guess, but
I was really lucky. I was introduced to yoga when I was 9. We had a place in the village that I went to, but it really impacted my life. Today I'm in this field. So I guess if younger people can tap into that, and even just to have this kind of memory of lightness in the body, it really does something.
Yeah, because whatever you do in life, whether if you don't you for example learned it and then you became a yoga teacher, but for someone doesn't matter, you play an instrument and it makes you a better vessel whatever you're doing, wherever you are.
How did this become part of your path, this retreat?
So like I said, it's because mainly I think I knew for this last more than a decade, I'm not able to stay in one place and to live in one place. It made a lot of sense to kind of connect my and also my partner activities and what we offer on a seasonal base. We kind of wander with the season, but when we're especially arriving to the area of Europe, and this is where we already have a little like Greek home that we do our retreats in, and it made just more sense in that way that I could really live with the connection to nature and to how I am really able to deepen my practice and to whatever, because it keeps changing the way how you're able to connect to whether it's your students, your patients, yourself in through this practice. It just came in a natural way that, like you said, when I started, it was something I saw more abroad. It wasn't really in where we grew up, but I saw this as a potential and the way I could really just live the lifestyle I'm dreaming of, which is living close to nature, living in a way that sustain my spirit and my body. And the retreats, I think it was also just the right combination, just the right combination of all of that together. So I found the right partners to do the retreat with. And I think it's also something really important is that, to know your strengths, to know what you're good at and what you're not good at, and to know what you want to do and what you better find someone else to do as well. Because I do think there's a lot of teachers, everybody, I don't want to say it in a mean way, but everybody's obsessed with retreats today. And I get it, and also because I was also there, but I think it was just so harmonic in the way it happened. But I'm just saying that to say that you shouldn't force yourself to be a producer and to do everything as well, because it might not be the right fit, but it is hard, to wear the hat of the teacher and the facilitator and the producer and all of that together. At least for me, I think it's too much. But I know some people that, they're doing it. Maybe you're doing it and it's amazing, and whoever
but also we're doing it together. Like I'm producing and you're the teacher with Eyal.
So that's why I say that's why it's another.
Because I felt it's more right, like to split the roles, because when I'm holding a space, that takes so much energy. And I remember coming to your workshop in Tel Aviv like a few years ago, and it was one day, but you were really in your light, like you were a powerhouse. And I was amazed by that. And in order to be in your full power, and I looked at you and you were just downloading knowledge. It was like, it was like, I have goosebumps when I think about it. So in order really to stand in this place, I think you do need to find the right combination. And I think that's like, for those who doesn't know, like we are doing a retreat together in 21 to the 26th of October in Girona, where I live. So I was fortunate enough to be able to connect with you and with Eyal Shifroni, which is one of your teachers.
Yes.
and maybe you will share soon more about your connection. But my vision is really to be able to do all the background in order for you to bring your light and for the student to absorb it in the best way that I would like to receive and to give. Maybe you will share a bit about your connection with
Yeah,
Eyal. And
I'm very, very fortunate to offer this retreat with Eyal Shifroni and his amazing knowledges, and he's my teacher, and I did my 3 years of training with the Iyengar yoga with him that you do before you are applying for the assessment to be able to become a certificate Iyengar. And that was back in 2015. I don't remember exactly. And also we've been together in Pune in India, in the Institute of Iyengar family. And back then Gita, his daughter, was still alive. It was, I think, her last year. And that was also an amazing opportunity. I think my third time there. And Eyal, I don't know which time, like you've been there already years, and got to learn with Mr. Iyengar himself, Goji. And it was also such a deep experience for me because I got to assist one of Eyal's students there, and she's in a wheelchair. And it
wow.
was also a very super interesting learning for me, and it was also very personal for me because my mom is on a wheelchair. So it was a very healing experience because I got to experience it on a kind of different level, and it is a different, I don't know really how to describe it, but it was very powerful and healing for me. Alice is just, first of all, is a senior, a younger teacher, and he's really inspiring. And another fun fact about Eyal and myself, that also I came to assist him on his workshop in Costa Rica a few years ago as well. It was also a year
Okay.
ago, and it was just just amazing. I'm always blown away by his creativity and his is just infinite knowledge and intuition. It's just really his personality is
Mm.
such a lovely individual. I just love him. I live in Australia as well. One of the teachers I practice with in Australia, Iyengar, she's also a senior Iyengar yoga teacher. When she found out that my teacher is Eyal, she was like, "Oh, the guy with the chair is a genius," and he's everybody's like, he's became
Yeah.
so.
I remember when I lived in Ibiza. Oh, I'm sorry to
No,
cut
no,
you.
go ahead.
When I lived in Ibiza, I was also practicing there in a really nice studio. The owner is Miguel, and he's a quite known teacher of a Iyengar method. And I remember everyone also knew Eyal Shifrani, and I'm like, how do you know him? And like everyone read these books, and everyone knew him, and I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, I don't know how language his book was translated
Yeah.
to, but it's a lot. So he's really a fountain of knowledge and just inspiring, to see this 70 something. I'm not quite sure of his age, don't catch me in the world, but he's just amazing,
But beyond 70.
Beyond 17, you can just see.
He sent me the 70 postures he did for his 70th
Right. Yeah.
birthday.
Oh, that's
You
true.
cannot imagine.
It's just amazing, and you can see it on his, when he demonstrate, you can actually see some of like the things that, there's things that people say, like how the skin rotates and how that, but
Yes.
you actually see it with him when he
Like the
dance.
fascia, I think I
Yeah,
heard it from you a few years ago,
yeah,
maybe. And
yeah.
now
Really,
I,
you can really see it on him, and it's quite amazing because it's very
yeah,
rare.
yeah.
He represent a lot of what I find it's like the beauty of the Iyengar method. And I'm honored
Amazing.
to co-teach and assist him on this retreat when I heard you were offering retreats in Girona and in Spain, and then I got to talk to Yal, and we're like, okay, let's do it together. And I'm really, really looking forward to it because
So,
honestly, when I teach retreats, and generally most places, especially places of like resorts or all these places, they don't have the proper facility for a proper Iyengar. So when I teach, I rarely teach in that kind of, I'm not just saying traditional manner, but
Yeah.
it's just so lacking when you don't have all the props and you don't have walls and you
Yeah.
don't have, and when I have it, I'm like a kid in
Yeah.
a candy store or a kid in a
Yeah.
like in a park or Disneyland, and it's
So
I'm
we
so,
have a proper a younger studio to practice, which is
I
usually
know
not common
I know that's what I mean, like
in
when I
retreats.
just so looking forward to that because I'm
Yeah.
already like thinking, oh my God, there's so many things I want to do always, and there's no opportunities to that.
Yeah.
Places where, for example, when I taught a 200 hours teacher training in Costa Rica, and when we looked and searched for a place to do it, it was impossible for me, like even to find a single wall because all the
Yeah.
shallows are
Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful and they're like lush
Yeah.
and
It's super
they're
beautiful. Yeah.
so beautiful, but also in that way it could be flat for me because I couldn't
Yeah.
bring full anyway. In the end we found some alternatives and it was fine, even though
I think at the end, like you can do it
you
without
could
it,
do
but
it,
when
but
you have it, it is
yeah,
very beneficial.
it's completely different for me. It's like, for personally, props, I think it gives me a sense of safety. I don't know, even like, I think it's, again, depends on your personality and it, but it really brings a sense of grounding and a sense of
Yeah. The stability that we
stability.
started with this stuff.
Exactly, you see,
Yeah.
that's full
I
circle.
remember in your workshop, it was in a proper studio with
Yeah.
props. And I remember like, wow, I got to really feel this depth of the props for, I guess, not the first time, but in a really deep way.
Yes,
So it was
that's really the pro. What's the word? That's actually the purpose of like a lot of people. The purpose
yeah.
of a prop. So it's actually, it's there to support you and to enhance your sensations, and it's not just to like, oh, okay, automatically let's grab a block, let's grab the, no, it's like
No, it's
there to
completely different.
there to serve something, and it's every day is different, like
Yeah.
exactly your constitution, your, yeah. So that's something I'm very excited about, to actually have the
So,
full possibilities to teach in that way.
so I think we'll close with that.
Yeah,
I have so many other topics that I want to speak with you about, so maybe we'll do another
yeah, I would
podcast.
love
Yeah,
to.
I would love to.
It's
What do you say?
always fun to chat and to talk.
Yes. Yes. So thank you so much, Eden, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to see you already here.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Bye.